What's up, action fans? It's Matt here for The Action Zone, a brand new channel that I started. Some of you may know me from the Stallone Zone, everything and everything dedicated to Sylvester Stallone. I wanted to do another action channel to kind of give a nod to some of the other action movies that I really like and that I can review on this channel. You won't see any Stallone reviews at all on this channel. You will find that in the Stallone Zone, and I will give you that link below the description. Today we're going to talk about Jeff Speakman. I wanted to talk about first The Perfect Weapon, which you see the menu playing behind me, because the Blu-ray was very, very recently released here, actually about a week ago I think it was released. And so I pre-ordered it on Amazon.com, and I received it. And I've had a chance to check it out, so we're going to talk about that as well. But I want to talk about the movie as a whole. And then I kind of want to do a Jeff Speakman overview, or a Jeff Speakman retrospective, and where I think he ranks in the action hero legacy, if you will. So let's talk about The Perfect Weapon. The Perfect Weapon is a great story, a great action movie. Tremendous fight scenes, a very well done, simple action movie. It's a very simple movie. It's not overly confusing. Very, very basic storyline, which is all you need. And if it's told well and acted well and done well, that's really all you need in the action genre. You know, simple stories sometimes are best. So, I will read you the description on the back of this, basically. Martial arts sensation Jeff Speakman plays a drifter who returns home only to find out his old mentor and family friend is harassed and threatened daily by the Korean mafia. Now, this guy, his family friend is named Mako. Now, Mako helped him out when he was a young man. I introduced him to Kenpo karate when he needed some discipline in his life because his dad was really having trouble handling him. Days after his return, his mentor is murdered by the syndicate's top henchman and assassin, Tanaka, who's a giant of a man. Vowing revenge, he recruits the help of his long-estranged policeman brother, Adam, played by John Dye, and his old mentor's young apprentice, Jimmy Ho, who is played by Dante Basco. Caught between the arm of the law and his own code of honor, he heads toward a final showdown with the sadistic assassin and the Korean crime syndicate. That's basically an overview of the story. I couldn't really have said it better myself. And the thing about it is, when I do my reviews, I want to make sure that I'm not giving away too much of the movie, because I really want people who haven't seen these movies, and this is going to be one of those movies that a lot of people have not seen. Case in point, I went to IMDb, and I think it's rated 5.2 or 3, I think is what it's rated, but it's only out of like 1,400 and some viewers that actually went on there and voted. So that'll tell you how many people know about this, or how many people have looked it up and voted for it. I mean, it's not real well known. In the action world, and those of us who are diehard action fans from the 80s and 90s and even today, we know this movie well. But Jeff Speakman, you know, he came on the scene. He was to be Paramount Pictures' big action star. And so, The Perfect Weapon. The movie, in my opinion, is one of the most underrated action movies of all time. If I had to make a top 10 list, I would definitely put this movie in the top 10. Maybe even the top 5 underrated action movies of all time. I don't think it gets enough credit. But I also understand why, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. The movie itself, like I said, it's very simple. Not a very long movie. It only runs about 85 minutes, so it's pretty short. So it's a really good, fast-paced. Things happen one after another. There's a good pace of action, a good pace in the storyline. You don't ever feel really bored through the movie. I didn't think so. The acting, I will be honest and say it's so-so. Jeff Speakman is not the greatest actor. He's certainly not the worst. And as I noticed in this movie, as it went on, his acting got better, I thought. And in my opinion, it actually got better. Mako's always good. I think he was probably the strongest character, or the best actor in the movie. Some really great fight scenes. The use of Kenpo karate from Jeff Speakman, who is an 8th degree black belt in Kenpo karate. So you really get to see his martial arts talent in this movie, which is really good. There's a bunch of fight scenes and with multiple attackers and all different sorts of really fun action scenes using his Kenpo karate. A fairly decent score. It's not an amazing score or an awesome score by any means, but it's adequate for the movie. But it's just a fun action martial arts revenge movie. And I read you the description of what the movie basically is about. I don't want to give this movie away. This is one of those movies that I really want to let the viewer view this and kind of be intrigued to watch this movie. I don't feel I was giving anything away because I just read it right off the back of the, the Blu-ray there. So Jeff Speakman. Before we talk about, let's talk about the Blu-ray. The Blu-ray was released on the 14th of February, so less than a week ago. Tomorrow will be a week ago. I pre-ordered this on Amazon and got it in the mail here recently. And I actually sat down and watched it today. Now, I will tell you right off the bat, if you get the DVD, you could be more than satisfied with that. If you have a DVD copy of it already, I wouldn't, in my opinion, they didn't do enough to this to upgrade it on Blu-ray. Now, I did not own it on DVD, so my choice was to buy it on Blu-ray because I'm always going to pick a Blu-ray over a DVD if I can choose. No special features whatsoever. You see behind me here, it says play and chapters, and that's it. That's literally it. You can't do anything else. There's not even a trailer. There's no cast and crew information or behind the scenes featurettes or director commentary. Nothing. Absolutely nothing, which is a little disappointing. But I mean, it's bare bones. The picture quality, I don't know. You can see by the menu behind me that is actual movie footage there. I don't know how well it transfers through, the video onto your screen, but it's decent. It's a decent Blu-ray. I wouldn't say it's spectacular. There's certainly a lot of other movies that in the 80s and 90s cleaned up better than this, but it's not bad. It's a pretty good remastered edition. It was kind of hit or miss through the 80s and through the early 90s with these, I found, with Blu-rays. Some of them look really great. Some of them not so good. Some of them are okay. This is one of the ones that I think is kind of in the middle. Some scenes look pretty clear, pretty good. Close-ups look pretty good. The sound, it doesn't even say what the sound is on the back of here. It mentions nothing about sound. Absolutely nothing. I played it on my surround sound system that I have down here, and it came out of my two front speakers here. So it's a 2.0 stereo, I think is what it is. So just my two speakers and my sub was the only thing working for the movie. There's no 5.1 or 7.1 surround sound, or no HD sound either. Not even Dolby Digital here. So we're talking about 2.0 stereo. So some of the lowest quality stereo you can get, obviously, these days. But, you know, it's adequate, I guess. You know, it doesn't, you know, I would have liked to seen him really clean up a really good digitally mastered soundtrack and redone the movie in Dolby Digital. But, you know, we get what we get. We should be happy we're even getting this on Blu-ray, in my opinion. So that's my Blu-ray review. I told you what I thought about the movie. Very underestimated. I think it gets a lot more credit. It should get a lot more credit than it deserves. Now, I do know a lot of people. I have seen some very positive reviews for this on YouTube, so that's encouraging. But there's not enough of them, and so I wanted to make sure that I did one for you guys. And we kind of did a look back at Jeff Speakman, and you know, kind of see where he fits in the whole action hero genre from the 80s and 90s. So let's talk about it. Why did Jeff Speakman never make it? Why did he never become the huge action star that Paramount Pictures had hoped? For a lot of people had hoped that he was going to become this big action star. Why did it never happen for him? I have several opinions on why it didn't happen. You know, first of all, there is a small chance that he came in too late. Because if you think about Dolph Lundgren, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sylvester Stallone, Jean-Claude Van Damme, Steven Seagal, they all came in 2-3 years before this, 4 years before this. And Arnold, of course, started becoming big in the early 80s. Of course, the movie that really broke Arnold Schwarzenegger was Conan the Barbarian in the early 80s. And even Chuck Norris, who in the late 70s broke out as an action star and was huge through the 1980s and early 90s. Dolph Lundgren, 1985 with Rocky IV. So I think there were a lot of established action stars at this time, and maybe there just wasn't room for another one. Or people didn't give him enough chance or give him enough credit at the time because there was all these other action stars that were doing so well. So maybe if, you know, this movie would have came out in 1989 or 1988 or 87, would he have been bigger? I don't know. It's a theory that I've thought about, and I think it may have had something to do with it. Number two, as much as I like Jeff Speakman, as much as I love The Perfect Weapon, and I like a couple of his other movies, Deadly Outbreak, I actually kind of like that movie. Street Night is a very, very good movie, second to this movie. I would say those are his two best, Street Night and The Perfect Weapon. There's just something about Jeff Speakman, in my opinion, that does not appeal to everyone that made these other guys action stars. And I will refer back to Jean-Claude Van Damme, Dolph Lundgren, and Steven Seagal. Okay? I just think that especially this being his first movie, was missing something. And I hate to say it, I think it was Jeff Speakman. Now, I appreciate it. I like him. But as far as the whole audience embracing his character and his persona and his charisma, I don't think that people bought into it. You have to remember, when Jean-Claude Van Damme and Dolph Lundgren and Steven Seagal in the late 80s and early 90s were kings of the world in the action genre. And when you watch these movies, you looked at these guys like they were superheroes without capes. They were one-man armies. They just seemed like they were so big and untouchable, that they could never be beaten. And not only that, but it not just because of what they did fighting-wise and action scene-wise. It was because of their charisma as well. They had a certain look, maybe a certain humor, a certain grin, a certain persona that they put onto the screen that people ate up. Not only men, but women. Jean-Claude Van Damme had as many female followers as he did male followers through this time. So you have to be able to appeal to both to make it ultimately, I believe. And I don't think Jeff Speakman had that. And he did not have the charisma, the larger-than-life charisma that some of these other action stars had. His movies in the 90s were nowhere near, they couldn't touch the other. I mean, Jean-Claude, you think about Jean-Claude and Double Impact, which was released in 91, made $80 million. Under Siege with Steven Seagal was released in 1991 or 92, right in this time frame, 91, 92 maybe. But that movie made $150-some million. So it didn't make the money that they wanted it to make. I want to say the movie, made about $14 million. In the early 90s, these other guys that were making these movies were just leaving him in the dust. And the proof is in the pudding. You have to go by what the people are the ultimate judge of the action stars and actors. And I think, and during this time, that was never more true. Like the people spoke, they didn't think he had it. And for a broad audience that ate up these other guys, these other action stars, I agree. I don't think that he has the charm, the charisma, and that larger-than-life persona that these other guys had. I think people tend to forget how big these guys really were. And Stallone, and Jean-Claude Van Damme, and Steven Seagal, and even Dolph Lundgren, and during the late 80s and early 90s, these guys were larger than life. These guys were, like I said, superheroes. And I don't think he ever was put in that category. Fair? I don't know. I like him. I like this movie. I like Jeff Speakman. I wish he would have been given maybe a third or fourth chance. But like I said, he had his second chance with Street Night, which came out in 93, which was a total flop. The movie didn't even gross $1 million. So, they're not going to continue to give him chances when his movies are continuing not to do well. And the movies that he came out with, through the 2000s and later 90s were very low budget, were poorly made, and weren't that great. Like I said, I really like this movie and Street Night, and there's a couple other ones that I can stand, and I kind of like them, but this is really his best movie, and as good as he really got was this and Street Night. So that's my thoughts on Jeff Speakman. Would I have liked to seen him, come back maybe in like The Expendables? Sure, I wouldn't have been upset. But I just don't think that to bring back an old action star, he had to have some level of fame and some level of a persona, and I don't think Jeff Speakman has that. Like I said, you go on IMDb and look up some of the other guys and how much money their movies made through the 90s. And how many viewers go and vote for their movies and stuff like that. Like I said, less than 1,500 voters voted this movie, 5.3. I definitely think it deserves a bigger mark than a 5.3. I think that's low. I would put this somewhere in the 7.3 range, or maybe an 8 range. I think it's a very, very decent, solid flick. Another reason that I want to talk about Jeff Speakman maybe not coming across as maybe as cool or as big as those other guys is, again, his fighting skill. Now, he's very talented in Kenpo karate, as you see behind me. But I'm not sure that the style lends itself so well to the camera. If he would have spiced it up a little bit, maybe finessed it a little bit, it would have been more pleasing to the eye. Like when you see Jean-Claude, when he does his karate, it's outrageously huge and almost graceful and spectacular. And Steven Seagal with his Aikido, it's very, very like mind-blowing and like awesome when you watch those movies. You know, when he broke people's arms in half and bones were coming out, and just the gratuity of his fighting made it cool and just was like, yeah. This, he doesn't have it. It doesn't, especially in this movie, which is his first movie, doesn't have it. There's a couple times where he breaks a couple of bones, but you don't see anything. You know, I mean, the movie's rated R, and they did not take advantage of the rated R, in my opinion. There should have been way more blood in his fights. Much more, they should have sensationalized the action more, especially his karate and his Kenpo karate. But it just doesn't, it just kind of seems like basic fight scenes and basic fighting. Although I like it, it's not anything that's going to be eye-catching and that hasn't already been done before. And so there was nothing really spectacular about it. It was a little bit, it was not violent enough. And it was, you know, this is basically, it could be a PG-13 movie, except for some of the, you know, language. But, I mean, there's no nudity. There's barely any blood. I mean, there's some blood. But, I mean, if it would have been a lot more violent, I think it would be more people would have gravitated towards it. The fight scenes would have been a little bit more finessed as far as him, you know, kicking people's asses. You got to spice it up a little bit. It can't just look like your basic fight scenes. And a lot of times that's what his fight scenes look like. You know, they had all been done before through the 80s. I think with a new action star, maybe people wanted to see something maybe like a signature move or something that differed him from everybody else, and he really didn't have anything that was different from anybody else. So, Jeff Speakman, yeah. I mean, the last movie he did, I think, was in 2006. I could be wrong. I don't have IMDb here in front of me. But I'm pretty sure that's when his last movie was, and I think he had a smaller part in that movie. I've never actually seen that last one. But, you know, you can go to jeffspeakman.com and find out everything you want to know about Jeff Speakman now. He does a lot of martial arts seminars and things like that, and you can find all his movies there that he's made, or a lot of them, I think, and different pictures and all. It's a really cool site. So jeffspeakman.com, check it out. I'm a huge Jeff Speakman fan. It's kind of sad that he didn't make it, but the reasons I pointed out, I think, and I'm just being honest. I'm not saying it's necessarily fair, but I do understand why Jeff Speakman maybe didn't explode as a big-time action star like a lot of those other guys did. So, yeah, that's my review for The Perfect Weapon and my Jeff Speakman retrospective. Feel free to comment below. Let me know what you guys think of Jeff Speakman. If you're a fan of him, if you think he deserves maybe even another chance. You know, if you'd like to see him maybe in some modern movies now, you know. Or what your opinion is on the action genre. And definitely send me your requests as well. Send me your requests if you have any underrated action movies or action movies that you would like to see me review. Let me know, and I will definitely try to get them in. So this is the first video on the new channel. I hope you guys liked it. The Action Zone is here to stay, and we'll see you guys real soon. Thank you for watching.